Merry meet, Annie here. What a pleasure it was to find out that I was going to be helping out, hosting when our hosts need to be elsewhere, when life is calling them in another direction. Who would have known that when I started watching videos on this channel a year ago that I would be able to help out in this way? And it is an honor and an opportunity to thank our host for having brought us such wonderful videos every week for an entire year. I want to thank them for the opportunity to help out in any way that I can. A little bit about me. I will be 58 on my next birthday, which I'm assuming from videos I've seen and comments I've read that would make me older than most of your mothers and perhaps the age of some of your grandmothers. And that's a really neat thing because you can be stuck in a rut when you get to be my age, and fresh insights and views and experiences shared by others is, if you permit them to be, can be very inspirational. And actually some of your comments in addition to the videos have been very inspirational for me. So I gain from being an older person amongst a group of younger people. And I hope that my experiences will mean that you can gain something from our interaction. My history of the pagan community, personally, is when I was in my teens, I did understand that I did not believe in the principles of the religion of my family. And the confusing thing at that time was that was all well and good, but then if that wasn't what I believed in, it was kind of a then what. And in those days, my relationship to the divine was through nature, mostly because of the love of nature that my father and my grandfather had and shared with me. The glory of standing in a thunderstorm or taking a walk and noticing the first crocus was something my grandfather would get excited about. And he was Irish by background, and he had a good foot in both worlds, although he would not have called it such. So I studied mythology and was fascinated with all the worlds of the gods and goddesses, and that matured, though, into a curiosity about the religion of the world and of all the times of man, and how stories and mythology wove in and out of all those times and places and what they had in common. You know, we didn't have books on paganism in those days. It was they weren't coming out for another decade or so. When I was in my 20s, I lived on my own starting in my late teens, and by the time I was in my early 20s, I was very involved in goddess circles. Now, those goddess circles were women of all faiths coming together to explore the feminine divine in a circle of women. It was a place of empowerment, and it was part of the feminist movement also. But I found that my goddess needed the balance of her god. And I had a sense there was such a thing from studying mythology and religions of the world, but how to practice that in the modern world, I was a bit at a loss, and then did meet my first truly pagan circle in the sense of paganism as a modern religion. I live on the East Coast of the United States, and this is in the 70s, and it was a Gardnerian circle, and it met every need that I had, and actually still have, when it comes to religion and shared belief with others and what happens in community. And I studied with them, going through the formal system of initiation, the systems of degree, and was elevated to High Priestess. Now, those kind of circles have been part of my life, almost my entire life. While not all my circles have stayed true in every way to that formal tradition, they have been very close to that. I prefer to celebrate in community. The religion of Wicca, and I should add I do call myself Wiccan. The religion of Wicca as I practice it is one of community and connection and group magic and what we do when we come together. Outside of that, though, I have not seen, let's just say I see more in common with than differences from those of you who practice alone. And the reason is that I personally believe that our relationship to the divine is at the most deep, intimate, private level of our being, which in my simplistic view of the world is that we indeed are all solitary. And if we remain solitary in the way we celebrate, by choice or by necessity, I'm finding that that leaves me with more in common with those who celebrate alone than things not in common. And in fact, I can be very inspired by the freedom of how those who celebrate alone create the ways they celebrate. I have almost always been in circle. I'm currently in circle as elder to that circle. But what I do outside of that, well, complementary to that circle, is exist in the world as a solitary pagan woman, making her way through the world and living her ideals privately and publicly. So I have so much in common with anyone who's walking a spiritual path of paganism, and enjoy finding out then what we have in common, what we do differently, because I can be very inspired by what someone else, especially someone who's been making their own way, who may come up with a fresh insight, something I never thought of on my own. I enjoy the neo-pagan community. I like reading new books. I'm often inspired by the poetry of them, while not often the spirituality represented in them, because I'm kind of old-fashioned in my take on Wicca. But when it comes to paganism, the gut feeling of being one with the world and with the energy of creation and destruction and rebirth, that's the intimate level at which I relate to neo-pagans that I meet online and on YouTube. And that's what I will enjoy about spending time here. I look forward to your comments, your thoughts, your insights. I know I'll be inspired by them. I already have been. And I also hope that in some way I can offer my life experiences, my way of walking the world, of practicing my own spirituality as a way of teaching when someone wants that, and just maybe in my own way every now and then offering a bit of inspiration as I receive it from others almost every day someplace on YouTube. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to the opportunity to being of assistance on this channel. Thank you so much, and once again, it's so good to meet you all.